Okay, we can get started now. To begin, can you tell me your full name?
My name is Nina, and my last name is Wira Hadiraksa.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Yes, Wirahadiraksa.
All right, nicely done. And are you working or studying right now?
I'm currently studying, but I am in an off book period.
Okay. What do you study?
I'm studying nursing.
And what is an off-book period?
It's like breaking, like taking a break from school.
And do you enjoy your studies?
So far, yes, it's pretty demanding, but I'm enjoying it at the moment.
And what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
I enjoy listening to music, um, watching some random videos, chill out and go for a walk. And sometimes I like to just read a book and chat with my friends on a phone.
Okay. And what is your hometown?
Um, I mean, I have two hometowns. Like one is in Switzerland, which is called Schindellegi, and the other one is Kunpo. It's like a city, but kind of a town. Yeah.
Where is Gunpo?
It's in Gyeonggi-do.
In Gyeonggi-do. Okay, you can pick either one.
Yeah.
And what are some things that you like about one of your hometowns?
I would actually pick Schindellegi because I actually recently lived there because I immigrated to Switzerland in 2016. And what I like about there is the nature. It's very wide and um, really big, and it's got a lot of like people and just not so many supermarkets. So then we have to like drive a lot to the city parts to do grocery shopping, but like just the nature, I guess.
Okay, good. Um, Sort of following on that, what are some things that you don't like about it?
Yeah, the grocery shopping part, and mm, I mean, I said the good thing about my town was nature, but it's also the other hand, like it's also not the good part because there's not so many things to do. So I would have to travel to the city side to do something with my friends because there are only like houses and like train stations nearby my house.
Okay. Now we'll talk about shopping. So to begin, do you like shopping?
I do. I do.
Why?
It keeps me off from negative thoughts sometimes and just irrelative thoughts regarding schools or just try to chill me out sometimes.
Okay, good. And do you compare prices when you shop?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on the items.
Okay. Can you tell me more?
Yes, for example, if it's related to me, I don't really consider the price. Like if it's, for example, items like clothes or something like a book or something related to skincare, then I wouldn't really like care about the cost so much because it's related to me and taking care of myself and my body. So cost doesn't really matter.
Okay. And is it difficult for you to make choices when you shop?
Um, yes, and that also depends. When it comes to me, it doesn't take so long for me to pick out items, but if it's for someone else, like picking out presents, for example, my family or my relatives or just anyone other than me, then it would take a long time
And
compared to me
why does it take longer?
because it's someone else than me. Like I don't know what they like. I don't know their preferences. So that's why.
Okay, good. And do you think expensive products are always better than cheaper products?
I think in some ways it does show that, yeah, you do have some extra vacancy kind of attached to it in the item. And yeah, it can show a bit of a more, I don't know, in some sense that you care a lot more about this person in a way of a gratitude weight, but not always, because I do think that the meaning and what that item means to someone is what matters.
Okay, good, good. So that's the end of part one. Now we can move on to part two. So for part two, you're going to have one question, and you'll have a minute to prepare, make some notes, and then up to 2 minutes to give your answer. So here is your question, and here's a pen so you can take some notes. I'll set a timer, but you can go ahead and take some notes. Okay, so that is a minute, and when you're ready, you can describe a time when you changed your opinion.
So, about a year ago in summer in Switzerland, I went to an ice cream shop with my friend, like a gelato shop in the city center. And I usually go for a cheesecake flavor, but there was a new flavor called mint chocolate. And I, I'm not like an anti-mint chocolate person, like flavor person, but I was kind of like thinking maybe I should go for it. And my friend was like, yeah, you should go for it. And then it was actually my family's controversial kind of a conversation, always like mint chocolate or not, like the flavor kind of a debate because my mom likes it and my sister doesn't and my dad doesn't know about the flavor. And I was thinking for quite a long time actually, I mean, not for like a 15-minute thing, but like maybe 5 minutes. And um, although my original opinion was cheesecake, I actually did go for the mint chocolate because I was curious. Being inquisitive about the new flavor, kind of, yeah, it was intriguing to, try out the new flavor and discover what it actually means to try out that flavor itself. And I did, and it tasted very different from what I thought. I thought it would taste something like a chewing gum that I used to like chew on, like a mint flavor, spearmint, but actually tastes really nice and sweet. And I felt surprised, pretty odd actually. And yeah, I was very I wasn't really like very excited about it, but it was more that I was very awed about it.
Okay, good. Good, that's 2 minutes there. Nicely done. And now we can move on to part three. So the first question, do children like to change their opinions?
I think they do. I've worked with children for some months because I had an internship at a daycare school. And I think their preferences change a lot depending on the situation. And I think situation is definitely it because, like, for example, they see that their friend has something and it looks like theirs are more nice and theirs look bigger and fancier. And they suddenly want that one than the ones they have. And they change their opinion, and sometimes it's like that. And like they used to have this preference on this kind of a cookie, and then later on they discovered this taste, and then they changed their preferences and kind of an opinion on other food and tastes.
Okay, good. And more generally, when do people change opinions?
I think it's a situational thing. Although one can have their own opinion depending on what the group has, like the opinion the group has, I think one can change. For example, if, yeah, like the group has like definite like sole opinion on this and the other one has another opinion, then I don't think like that person can advocate their opinion on their own.
Okay, good. And who do young people turn to for advice?
The person who they feel emotionally close to, I guess that's number one. But maybe depending on their level of dependency, their friends or other adults that can be close. But yeah, their parents or emotionally dependent people.
And do people like giving opinions about politics?
Oh, not so not so into politics, but um, uh, from what I've seen, I think so. Um, and it's, I guess, politics. It's a very big topic, and it's a topic that has to do with many different branches and many different storylines and headlines that are connected to each other, that it's connected to culture and media and so many things that it can trigger someone. It can just be a controversy. It can be a debate. It can be anything that it can go on and on and on. It can be a conversation on a bus. It can be a conversation in the cafeteria. I've seen a lot at school, but I've never been in one. But I think people really like to give opinions, especially my schoolmates.
Okay, sure. All right. Um, that's the end. And now we can move on to a little bit of feedback. As you probably know, the IELTS test is scored on 4 categories. So there's fluency and coherence, there's pronunciation, and then vocabulary and grammar. I think you did a really nice job overall. Sort of working in order. The first 2 categories, fluency and pronunciation, I thought were both very strong. You have a sort of natural rhythm of speaking, and all of the words are pronounced with a easy to understand, common standard English pronunciation. So those are both very good. Grammar and vocabulary were also good, but it might be here that a little bit of improvement is possible. Just to point out a few vocabulary things that I heard along the way. In part 1, when you were describing the nature sort of landscape in Switzerland, I think you described it as wide.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but there's probably other expressions. Maybe you could describe it as expansive, impressive, imposing. I'm picturing the mountains of Switzerland. But yeah, expansive rather than wide would be the kind of adjective to try there. There was one little mix-up around. I think you were looking for the word irrelevant, but I'm not sure it came out quite right. In part 2, as you were describing the ice cream, you used some good words like inquisitive is a very good advanced word. A couple of words to maybe think about. I think you described the debate about mint chocolate as controversial. Again, I know what you mean, but I'm not sure something like that would be controversial because it's not really important. Something like politics can be controversial because it has a sort of emotional charge. Ice cream flavors, they might be hotly debated, but it's in a sort of in a playful spirit. So I'm not sure it would be described as controversial. And it would probably would be possible in that answer to think of some other ways to express the idea that you wanted to try it. You repeated the idea that you wanted to go for it, which is a very good expression, but trying for more variety to express the idea that you want to try this new flavor. More vocabulary in part 3. There's some very good words. You talked about advocating for your position, which is very good, and talked about something triggering. So these are good sort of advanced words to be using. And so mostly good, but there's always room for improvement. In terms of grammar, mostly pretty good. Good use of the past tense in part 2. A couple of little slip-ups, kind of working in reverse order. In part 3, I think you described something as being more nice, but that's a good opportunity to use the comparative to describe it as nicer rather than more nice. And in part 1, there's maybe a preposition at one point. You mentioned something, I think shopping would keep you off negative thoughts. Instead of off, and maybe keep you away from or help you avoid negative thoughts. So these are really small things. But at the advanced sort of bands, it's important to try to keep them as accurate as possible. So really good job. And based on all of that, I think your estimated score today would probably be 7.0. But a strong 7.0, and with a little bit of fine tuning on the vocabulary, I think you'd get even higher. So thanks for coming in, and good luck.
Thank you very much.